God dag alle sammen. Right. I don't know if I'm going to get copyrighted for this, but I'm not showing any visual. This, you can only see me. All you'll be able to do is hear it. So I'm going to turn the volume up. Now, I just watched Prime Minister's Questions. Now, this is on Sky News, okay? Just about to watch the analysis, okay? Just going to go through some highlights. And we'll listen to their analysis, okay? It's quite funny, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm hoping that this isn't copyright. So, here we go.
From the Commons a short time ago. I have been very clear that Mr. Speaker,
Did you hear that? As soon as she started talking, I am very clear that, and they all started laughing at it. It was hilarious.
I am sorry and that I have made mistakes. But the right thing to do in those circumstances is to make changes.
I know you can't see this, but she's staring around like a startled chicken.
Which I've made, and to get on with the job and deliver for the British people.
A book is being written about the Prime Minister's time in office.
I like this from Starmer.
Apparently it's going to be out by Christmas. Is that the release date or the title? How could she be held to account when she's not in charge?
Well, Mr. Speaker, our policy is to protect the most vulnerable for 2 years. But
yeah, hang on.
I had to take the decision because of the economic situation.
I've watched several things. I've been keeping up with everything going on here as much as I can, anyway. And it's really funny because almost every time I've seen a Tory on something where they are a Liz Truss supporter, this is the bullshit they pull. But it's like, but the reason for the economic situation we're in right now, like, individually, is because of what you did, you stupid blonde robot. What the fuck are you talking about?
To adjust our policies. I am somebody who's prepared to front up.
You hid away for ages, and so you were forced to come out because otherwise it's like there wasn't even. It's like there was no. Look at him back here. It's like. Oh, sorry. Again, you can't see it. Jeremy Hunt sat behind there, right, and he's got his lips shut as if he's or straight line thing going on, right, where he's almost like. So he's almost saying what she's saying. It's really quite funny to watch.
I'm prepared to take the tough decisions. Unlike the honourable gentleman who hasn't done anything on businesses, he's done nothing to say he'll protect.
Are Labour in government? No. So shut the fuck up.
People after 1 year, he's got no plan.
Labour do have a plan, and the closer we get to a general election, the more of that plan they will reveal. Not only that, but at this point, I reckon that plans are being put into hyperdrive because they sense blood, and I don't blame them.
Speaker, last week the Prime Minister stood there and promised...
Oh yes, another blister. No, that's the wrong word. Another punched. Well, yeah, it's not Boris Johnson anymore. Another kick in the teeth here. For another poke in the nose to Dizzy Lizzy.
Absolutely no spending reductions. They all cheered. This week,
Yeah, I watched it last week. You all had me do it. And she said it.
the Chancellor announced a new wave of cuts. What's the point of a Prime Minister whose promises don't even last a week? It was
It's hilarious. Just that one point, okay? That what is the point in a Chancellor who doesn't even whose policies don't even last a week? What's the point? Just over it. Whatever. It just
a mandate built on fantasy economics, and it ended in disaster. The country's got nothing to show for it except the destruction of the economy and the implosion of the Tory party. I've got the list here. 45p tax cut, gone. Corporation tax cut, gone. 20p tax cut, gone. 2-year energy freeze, gone. Tax-free shopping, gone. Economic credibility,
gone.
And her supposed best friend, the former Chancellor, he's gone as well. They're all gone. So why is she still here?
I mean, look, I heard plenty of Boris's responses in the past saying, "Oh, it's just political point scoring." At this point, yes, I will agree with you. I would agree with that. But how can you not? It's an open goal.
Mr. Speaker.
I mean, in some senses, you could say this is this in any other situation this would constitute as bullying, but she's brought it on herself.
Mr. Speaker,
Another thing that gets me about Lizzy here is that whenever you look at her saying anything, she looks really confused when she says it. Even if if it's not a question, if it's a statement or an answer like she's giving here, she still looks confused while she's saying it, as if she's confused about what she's saying. How can I have confidence? How can anyone have confidence in someone like that?
I am a fighter and not a quitter.
Look, yeah, there are plenty of people that said that and still lost, in a horrible way. So just look, the writing's on the wall, love. So we're just about to get some analysis from Sky News here. That's Beth Rigby, and I don't know who else that is.
Well, we heard from the Conservative MP, John Stevenson, MP for Carlisle, just before the Prime Minister stood up, and he's very kindly come back to give us his verdict on how she did. In terms of her performance, how do you think she did?
Well, it definitely demonstrates her resilience, and I think it was a very robust performance by the Prime Minister. Indeed, I'd probably say it's been her best PMQs outing that she's had, although only 3. So it demonstrated her resilience, her willingness to continue in the job. And I also think she had the bravery to apologise for what she'd done in terms of the original policy decisions, and now she is moving on, which I fully support. We've got to move on. She's got the new Chancellor in place. He's bringing forward the policies that will bring stability to the market, and more importantly, he will set out our vision for the future on the 31st of October.
Well, you mentioned the Chancellor, but she appeared to contradict something that he had said earlier in the week. He had said that he wasn't going to make any decisions on spending cuts until the end of the month, and then she then announced that the triple lock and pensions would remain. Do you sense that there's something going on there, that there's a divergence between the two of them?
I don't know the conversations that go on between the Prime Minister and her Chancellor, but I do know that was a manifesto commitment, and I think the backbenchers would certainly want to see that be retained as a policy. So I think what the Prime Minister was saying was, in fact, the reality of the situation, which is that there will be that uplift in pensions, and it's something that I would certainly be supporting, and I'm sure my colleagues in the backbenchers would certainly
it's
be
going to
supporting.
really upset
We're going to come
her
to political areas,
if
Beth Ruby, in a second, but first of all, just need to bring you the latest pictures we have of the Russian President, Vladimir Putin. He's addressing his Security Council in Moscow.
Sorry,
Let's listen.
Okay, right, we'll stop it there then. I'm not going to get into that because I've got so many things I could take the piss out of. So many things about Putin I could take the piss out of. It's unreal. But yeah, what is he talking about? What are you talking about, you moron? How is it that someone looking really confused while saying everything that they're saying looks really strong? Is this because you're working from like the lowest bar? What? I just... The Tories are so desperate to stay in power. They are clinging on so hard. They don't want to give it in. They won't give it in. Give it in. Just give it in. You will do it. You'll have to. And again, at this point, I refuse to try and call what's going to happen next. Because it's so fluid. And yes, there have been things that have happened that I was expecting, but there have been quite a few things like Jeremy Hunt coming in, for example, that I was not expecting. So, I wonder what the consensus of MPs about that, because as I don't like it when it's just one MP there as a litmus test, because it's not very representative, is it? I don't know. I couldn't, like, they just before that clip they were interviewing some people from Bridgewater, just up the road from me. I say just up the road. This is southwest, so like Bridgewater from Devon is quite a far, the whole of Exeter in the way, but still. It's traditionally always been, Tory seat. And yet people there are asking for a general election. Now, I will say that they did only interview 3 people. But interviewing someone who is young, interviewing a pensioner, and interviewing someone who voted for fucking Boris Johnson, yeah, it's more representative than just interviewing a single Tory MP. And all of them, including the Bojo supporter, were like, yeah, at this point, GE, give us a general election. Like, I don't know what we can do. I suppose the very best thing is like at your next local election, don't vote Tory. Like, everyone don't vote Tory. Destroy their majority. That'll scare a shite out of them. She does. I am flabbergasted by that response from the top. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest, but I wasn't expecting, that was a strong, robust performance. I was like, really? That's what you got from that? Wow. Right, I had to Sky News on pause for a little bit, so it's gone past the Putin stuff and he's gotten back to the analysis, so I'm going to let it run a little bit longer.
So Beth Rigby is here in the studio with me. Beth, what did you think
of PMQs? Look, I think that Liz Truss is obviously trying to hang in there. John Stevenson saying that she was resilient. There's also another view on those backbenchers that her reputation is now in tatters, and it doesn't really matter what she says. The messaging of Keir Starmer about all these policy reversals, everything being upturned, and this is a Prime Minister in power or in office but not in power and not in control, is definitely what the public are seeing. She has the lowest popularity ratings of any Prime Minister ever. In fact, polling yesterday said only 1 in 10 Brits are satisfied with her as Prime Minister. The news story in that PMQs was the Prime Minister standing up and saying that the government was committed to the pension triple lock. Now, this is a manifesto commitment from 2019, which commits to lifting the pension, the state pension, in line with earnings, wages, or inflation, whichever is higher. Inflation is at 10.1% now. And so to lift it by that level is extremely expensive. And Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, on Monday said he would not commit to that specifically because he's looking at all spending commitments in the round. Now, the Prime Minister
it's kind of not helpful, Beth Rigby, kind of, well, maybe not Beth, but whoever's doing the video production here has got the highlights again of what happened on running behind her, and it's making her that's the interference if Beth's hard to hear, by the way.
Commons there U-turned on that, and that was a surprise given what Jeremy Hunt said on Monday and what her Foreign Secretary James Cleverly said just this morning, refusing to commit so with the Hunt position. So the obvious question was, she said in the chamber, I'm committed to it, so is my Chancellor. The obvious question is, is he? Because that's the opposite.
Just like with Boris, it's another round of send the ministers out to say one thing, and then the Prime Minister comes out and says, nope, they were all wrong. What?
Of what he said, are you trying to overrule him? Are you aligned? What on earth is going on in terms of this policy making on the hoof? Now, John Stevenson there was very clear. Politically, she was in a cul-de-sac on this because there was going to be such a huge rebellion from Conservative MPs. So again, it looks like, as with the reversal of the 45 pence cut in top rate of tax, and then the reversal of the entire mini budget, this is a Prime Minister being told what to do by her backbenchers and not in authority at all. But it looks like the U-turn has been agreed by the Chancellor. That's what number 10 is telling me, that they agreed it. But the way in which that was presented, the lack of briefing ahead of that from the Treasury, it just smacks of chaos. It smacks of a government in chaos, of policy being made.
And that's something that drove me mad about Suella Braverman. She was doing. She did something. I think it was earlier or yesterday. I think it was yesterday actually. And she was like. She was all just this tofu eating woke. I'm a carnivore. You try getting me to eat tofu, I will slap you, right? I mean, maybe not up, but I'll slap it away from me. She starts saying the coalition of chaos, and as soon as she said that, mentioned the words coalition of chaos, just like fucking George Osborne and pig fucker, David Cameron, glossy faced pig fucker, it was the whole coalition of chaos. You're the one that destroyed the market. What are you talking about? This is ridiculous.
Today, as a Prime Minister hand to mouth survives in office, and even John, who is trying to be supportive, there said the optics of this are not good.
No, they damn well fucking are not. I'm hearing more and more people talk about I went down the fucking co-op yesterday, and in a shop, people talk about general election.
You have to have a Prime Minister that looks at least aligned to the Chancellor and the rest of her cabinet. So a big policy change again from an embattled Prime Minister. Her Chancellor seems to be in agreement, but it's exactly the opposite, he said 48 hours ago. And this is a government that is trying to give an impression of stability, a Prime Minister trying to give an impression of being in control. And all of this U-turning and chopping and changing is happening 2 weeks ahead of a fiscal statement, which, if it doesn't convince the markets and doesn't convince her own backbenchers, could end up in another bout of turmoil. And I don't need to tell you that the only firewall left then is the Prime Minister herself. So again, Jane, another day of chaos, unpredictability, and a Prime Minister hanging in there, but a government that does not look in control at all. She's literally being bounced by the backbenchers in every decision now.
Meanwhile, what's going on at number 10? We had stories this morning that one of her advisors has left his job.
Yes, so there is, in terms of the chaos within number 10 as well, one of her senior advisors has been suspended today. And that is because of an investigation by the ethics and propriety team over this person's conduct amid allegations that there were negative briefings against MPs, negative briefings that have caused a lot of difficulty for Liz Truss when she's already embattled. I think that the complaint went in, and I think that there was a decision, and I think this went on for a few days to suspend this person. So again, it's just another sign of the chaos at the heart of her government.
The Tories are tearing themselves to fucking pieces. They are not capable of governing properly. Evidently. Evidently, these people are not capable of governing properly. Like, because if they were, like, they would be doing this, wouldn't they? Like, really? Like, Best Rigby, though, fucking brutal.
And this really is a government that is trying to just survive day to day, moment to moment at the moment, Jane.
Okay, Beth, thanks so much for that analysis. Well, still to come on Sky News at 1.
So, yeah. Oh, dear. Dear me. Oh. It just... I mean, in some ways I shouldn't laugh, because we are... Like, this has left us in a stupid position we shouldn't be in. We're heading back towards austerity when it wasn't needed. Why? Because of her fuck up. Because of their fuck up. The right likes to say, oh, if you just got given a chance. No, the markets didn't want you to have that chance. It said capitalists told capitalists that they were being stupid. That's what happened. And socialists are just going, ha! Or, what the fuck? So, that was her third Prime Minister's questions, and I will not agree with what's his face, a Conservative MP at the end. Because he had no idea what he was talking about. She's still in a dangerous position. It was not a strong performance at all. She looked confused every time I only noticed it the second time around watching it around. But when she stands up, on one of the occasions she stands up, it looks like she's actually finally had enough. Gets up, you can hear her little fucking binder slam onto the table in front, or whatever it is in front, the lectern in front of her. It is hilarious. But yeah, this has been my review of that. I wasn't going to take you through everything because it just wasn't anything it wasn't any better, and I don't think it would have gotten better. It's not going to get any better. Like I wish the Beatles song would be true, but it's not. And there are still people going, "Oh, just give her a chance." No, don't give her a fucking chance. She's had just no. The entire thing she ran on has been thrown. Well, pretty much has been thrown in the bin. The bin has then been thrown on a bonfire, and the bonfire has had napalm thrown onto it. Get rid of her. Get rid of the Tories. Let's have a general election. But you know what? They won't have a general election because they are cowards, and they know if they have a general election, they're dead in the water. They are politically dead in the water. Again, I don't know if this is going to be copyrighted, but I'm hoping it won't be. It's not like it was little clips. So yeah, I do love Beth Rigby though. Brutal as always. She's one of those that isn't afraid, usually anyway. There's been a couple of times it's like, come on, Beth, that was an open goal, and you didn't ask that question. But sometimes she doesn't, I suppose. But quite often she's really brutal when it comes to an analysis, and I do like the fact that she's that brutal. I can't wait to see what Max and Phil have got to say about this. Big Madge as well. I'd like to see his response. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I hope everyone enjoyed this. It's been Shadow Eater, and yeah, it's been my Dork Specker. Blessed Thursday.